A current affair tonight.
It didn't happen. The words Attorney General Christian Porter repeated again and again as he publicly outed himself as the Cabinet Minister accused of an historical rape. It was one of the most extraordinary press conferences in modern political history, but has it done enough to convince the nation and to save his career? Well, let's discuss this morning with Northern Territory Senator Malarndirri McCarthy and Gus Worland from Triple M. Good morning to you both. Malarndirri,
good morning.
To you first, if I can. Can Christian Porter carry on as Attorney General?
I watched that press conference, Sylvia, as I think most people did across Australia, and one of the things that struck me as I was watching it was that the Attorney General made reference to the fact that no one had provided any details. And the question that kept coming to me as I was watching that was, the Prime Minister received information last Wednesday, or Wednesday week ago, and none of that was discussed, according to the Attorney General. Now, it really does surprise me that if there was information with the Prime Minister, why that particular discussion didn't take place for the Attorney General. And I think there are just so many questions that still remain unanswered, and that's why the calls for an independent inquiry are really important.
So are you saying you don't believe him?
I'm saying that there are too many questions that still remain unanswered, and only an independent inquiry could actually open up the opportunity to have a lot of those questions answered.
Well, you mentioned these calls for an independent inquiry. They're not going away. And during the press conference yesterday, Christian Porter did respond to those calls. Let's have a listen.
What would I say in front of that inquiry? What would that inquiry ask me to do? To disprove something that didn't happen 33 years ago. And I honestly don't know what I would say to that inquiry.
Gus, if there's nothing to hide, as he said, if he's innocent, as he says, wouldn't an independent inquiry give him a chance to clear his name, to draw a line under this? Because whether you like it or not, it's not going away.
Yeah, exactly right. Couldn't agree with the Senator more. It just has to be an independent inquiry into this. And, you know, there's two battles here. There's a legal one and there's also his political career. And you've got a feeling that the political one is going to end up badly for him, and the legal one, just because it was so long ago, and, of course, that the tragedy of the young lady not being here, it'll probably mean that he'll win that particular one in inverted commas. So no winners here at all.
Meantime, in Canberra, a few hours before the Christian Porter press conference, an extraordinary address yesterday from Australian of the Year Grace Tame, calling out Scott Morrison for his initial response to the rape allegations made by former Liberal staffer Brittany Higgins. Let's have a listen to that.
It shouldn't take having children to have a conscience.
She went on to say that on top of that, having children doesn't guarantee a conscience. Malarndirri, a searing assessment of the Prime Minister from a very powerful and a very informed voice on this topic. What do you expect now from the PM?
Well, we expect leadership on this, Sylvia. I mean, we need so many things to change in terms of the culture, not just in Parliament House, but across the country in the treatment of women, and the importance of having safety in the workplace as well as in the home. And we're still seeing so many issues around safety of women as really quite critical here. And the Prime Minister still is not showing the leadership that's required for our country.
Can I ask you quickly too about the report on Linda Reynolds this morning, that she allegedly called Brittany Higgins a lying cow? Can Linda Reynolds come back to Parliament?
Well, I certainly put some questions to her in the Senate, as my Labor colleagues did, Sylvia, and again, the obfuscation by this government, by the Prime Minister and his Defence Minister, has been really, really quite appalling. And so again, there is a real lack of leadership here by both the Prime Minister and the Defence Minister in this regard, and we certainly need to keep pushing for answers in that space when we return to Parliament.
Well, as you said, still many questions, and I'm conscious of the fact that yesterday would have been very triggering for a lot of survivors out there too, so please know that you can contact 1800-RESPECT if yesterday's events were very distressing for you. Let's move on now, and the debate over border closures this morning, it seems to have been replaced by daily concerns now over the COVID vaccine rollout. In New South Wales, it's been revealed 2,000 doses of the Pfizer vaccine have been dumped due to a shortage of specialist syringes, while Queensland Health has issued a quite extraordinary tweet saying the state is being picked on by others over its slower vaccine rollout, declaring this is not a race. Gus, gee, they just can't leave each other alone, can they?
No, exactly. It used to be Team Australia. Remember when this first started in March? We're all together, and then all of a sudden the Victorians were put to the side. We should be back together again. But when I heard that the vaccine, we had to lose a couple of thousand vials, I mean, it's so precious. Every time, Singapore Airlines flight arrives with you guys are there, every camera's there. It's so precious, and all of a sudden we're throwing it away because we haven't got the right syringes. I mean, to me, that just it beggars belief that we're throwing it away.
Malarndirri, what's your take on this dispute between states and the rollout of the vaccine?
Well, it's certainly unhelpful, Sylvia, and as Gus has pointed out, we do need the vaccine in each of our state and territories, and we certainly have to make sure that they're delivered appropriately and across the board. I have heard reports that the vaccine's only going to certain Liberal electorates. I'm going to have a look at that much closer in New South Wales, and I certainly hope that is not the case, because we can't politicise this sort of stuff. But in terms of the struggle between Team Australia and the states, well, it's an ongoing story, isn't it?
Well, it sure is. Now, before I let you both go, opinion is divided somewhat in Queensland this morning over the name of a restaurant on the Sunshine Coast. It's a very popular one. It's called Some Young Guys. It's run by a group of men who are all white, but it's being accused by a writer in the Gourmet Traveller magazine of, quote, being a neo-colonial act of erasure. Gus, come on.
Yeah, we are so precious, aren't we, in this country? The thing I love about being an Aussie is that we can take the mickey a bit, we can have some fun, but every time we have to be outraged, can't we, on everything, on every topic, and this is just one of those again. Can we just let this one through to the keeper? Everyone just take a chill pill, relax, and take a big, deep breath. We're becoming a nanny state, we really are, whinging about everything.
Malarndirri, one commentator wrote in the Courier Mail saying people now seek to find offence where none exists. Do you agree with that?
Oh, look, I have to say, Sylvia, when you sent through that article this morning for me to read, I had to read it over a few times and try and work out what's going on here. But, and I don't want to belittle the fact that people are offended by something, but I still think that, the statement by the owners of that particular restaurant probably says a lot. Maybe we just have to be more aware of what's going on, but I think they can work that one out, can't they?
I think we can safely say the people of the Sunshine Coast aren't offended, because you cannot get a booking at that restaurant more than a year in advance. Malarndirri and Gus, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.